Trump administration starting to take shape, and the president-elect filling it with some people who are against the very missions of the agencies they're appointed to run. We're going to name the names here and sort it all out. Also, the Donald already appointing 3 generals, and he's considering more. We're going to ask our top military analyst what he makes of the names and if too many is such a thing. Then, Andrew Cuomo weighing in on the 2016 presidential race and why he says the Democrats lost it more than Donald winning it. And also, could the governor be weighing a run for 2020? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Thank you so much for joining us this Thursday night. Now, remember when Donald Trump, he met with Al Gore and Leonardo DiCaprio, and I guess it was Ivanka doing it, like really interested in dealing with climate change? Well, it wasn't that long ago. Whatever, just forget about that. Because look at who he just appointed to run the EPA. And let me remind you, that stands for the Environmental Protection Agency. It's this guy, Scott Pruitt. He's the Attorney General of Oklahoma. It's a state with a lot of oil and gas, right? That's often at odds with the EPA. But Pruitt has also been the same guy who has sued the very agency he will run if he's confirmed. And he's done it more than once. He wants to overturn clean power plant rules. He also wants to curtail regulations of pollution from the oil and the gas industry. And by the way, he's also not sold on that whole climate change thing actually existing. Then we got Betsy DeVos. She's Trump's pick for education secretary. Now, she spent her career funneling big bucks into privately run schools and pretty much opposes just about everything when it comes to public education. Don't forget about Tom Price. Tom here, he'd be the health secretary nominee, and he has spent basically the last 6+ years here trying to dump Obamacare in every which way. And as a doctor here, he's one of the few ones, I should say, who at least is coming up with alternatives, but nonetheless, the Affordable Care Act, it's provided health insurance to 20 million people who didn't have it before, so now it's hard to explain how ditching it entirely would be a healthy choice. By the way, he's also voiced support for privatizing Medicare and more. And then we get to the Labor Department. Trump is expected to pick a person who's not exactly a supporter of the people doing the actual laboring. Andy Puzder is the CEO of a fast food company that runs Hardee's. He is against raising the minimum wage. He's opposed to expanding eligibility for overtime pay to boot. All right, let's bring in our panel here and make some sense as to what has been a busy few days here. Richard Brodsky, former Democratic New York State Assemblyman, senior fellow at Demos, professor at NYU, and a full-fledged member of the media. Dominic Carter, political journalist and author, and former Republican turned conservative strategist. Bill O'Reilly, you might be becoming a Republican soon again, I have a feeling. And Andrew Whitman, our senior political correspondent. Guys, all thank you very much. All right. Listen, when some people have been, kvetching, I'm already throwing you a shot just to bother you about picks of a cabinet. At the end, a president should be able to pick his or her own cabinet if they're qualified. It doesn't mean the public has to support every idea. But my biggest problem, Richard, is a lot of these picks, A, are hypocrisy from what he said on the campaign trail, but B, don't even believe in the mission of the agencies that they are appointed to run.
Nothing new there. That's what Ronald Reagan did with James Watt as head of EPA. Interior. There was no EPA back in the year one, was there? At any rate, what this is about is the Republican right finally having the power in the Congress and in the executive branch to do the things they've always threatened to do, which are deeply unpopular and bad for the country. So if they really want to repeal health care under Obamacare for 20 million people, if they really want to allow for more fracking in Oklahoma, which has earthquakes from fracking up the yin-yang, if they really want to roll back the minimum wage and not make people eligible for overtime, there will be a day of reckoning here. And that day of reckoning, Trump is gonna be aware of, and he's going to stop some of the craziest stuff.
And I completely part in company with Richard, who's now all of a sudden, waving the Trump flag here at every turn. But Bill, philosophically,
for months,
on the Republican side, this idea that finally they've got their guy here, champion of conservatism, of starving the beast. Last time I checked, he wants to spend trillions, that's with a T, on infrastructure. He wants to cut taxes, so revenue comes down again. And now he wants to give carte blanche to more big government programs as well. And he also wants to maybe start a trade war here with tariffs and everything else. That's not all in the conservative playbook. They want to starve the government and also balance the books. I just keep hearing things, less money coming in and more money being spent.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a hybrid. As far as the picks go, he's been doing a lot of conservative picks. I like them because conservatives want to take the power back from the federal government to the states, especially education and other areas. Obamacare, it's no secret that we want to move more into private sector competitiveness type things. But, you know, infrastructure, yes, that's more of an FDR spending program. So he's doing a little bit of a hybrid thing here. Whether it all adds up or balances, we'll see.
Do you still care about, as a party, deficits and debt?
Yes.
Okay, because it doesn't sound like he does.
No, I think. I mean,
the
theory is no. Of course we do. I mean, we're the ones to talk about deficits and debts.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about it.
One of the ideas in the energy area, in the EP area, is, and that's the one area where I'm not sure about this pick. I just don't know enough about them. But is that if you could lower energy costs in the U.S. substantially, you get manufacturing back here. Is that and to lower energy costs, you drill more, even lower.
Labor costs aren't the big driver of manufacturing
labor
in the company.
But you still have shipping costs and the rest that you have to bring those products from overseas to here. If you could get the energy costs down in this country, you could get manufacturing back, and that's one of the
the workers at Carrier make $28 an hour. Their counterparts in Mexico make $3.
Yeah, but
you're not going to be able to find $25 an hour worth of savings in energy.
Welcome back. Crazy Bill O'Reilly is back. It's nice to see you.
I miss you guys.
You took a year off. The notion that you can generate.
The Donald Trump I'm seeing now is acting as a conservative. I like this guy. You know, I don't know if he's going to last.
Wait, do you guys remember Rosanna Dana? Remember?
Right, never mind.
Never mind. This is a collective never mind on Donald Trump. I'm here. But wait a second. Let me get into this. In that, this is at the end, the Environmental Protection Agency. Now, I'm not a naif in the woods who believes that everyone's going to want to sing Kumbaya and protect the trees. But if a guy doesn't even believe in global warming, I got to think they're going to have a hard time getting confirmed for this job. It's not like he's going to Commerce, okay?
There's an Orwellian sense about all of this, where the Environmental Protection Agency does not want to protect the environment. The Labor Department is not...
Education wants to kill public schools.
Right. I mean, right. So it's like 1984, where you get the names of everything is exactly the opposite of what they're looking to do. The question is, will the Senate Democrats actually be able to block some of these nominations? And
at least what I'm hearing, Andrew, is they're going to pick their spots.
Will they want to spend the political capital to do it? And I think they will have to pick their spots. I wouldn't be surprised if the EPA was one of the spots.
But just
where they
because
did.
you don't want the education department in Washington, I would shut the thing tomorrow. But that doesn't mean you're anti-education. You want to promote it in the states. You want to allow the states to do a better job. You don't want this federal government overlooking everything.
You know how all the charter schools in Michigan under Betsy DeVos's influence have done, right? They're the worst charter schools in the country.
Then another state can learn from those. They're incubator states. It's
states
always been the way.
Aren't the issue. People are the issue. And you're going to play...
The people in Washington are the issue because they're always trying to control everything.
For the health, the welfare, the education of real people. Understand this is not just television.
Everything doesn't have to be federalized.
You know
and that's
what,
what
though,
we're trying to
Dominic?
do.
I think the dirty secret, if you step back and you look at all the picks, including a couple of guys from Goldman Sachs that are going as it relates to commerce, is this is about, pure and simple, as naked as it is, we're going to run this like a company, okay? We're going to let the companies decide. And they believe not only will they do a much better job, but a rising tide will lift all boats. Forget minimum wage, forget about, okay. In the end, if the businesses do so good, don't worry, the deficit will disappear. Everybody's going to do fine here. And I got to tell you, whatever I think of him, he's mastered some terrific political theater with the Carrier and the Japanese guy coming out here, even though we now learned the deal was in the works for a year, but leave facts to the side. I've learned to do that this last month. So my point to you is, this is all about business. This is all about businesses.
No doubt about it. A dollar in a dream. Let's cross our fingers. Let's hope trickle down comes back and works. Kumbaya. We're all going to have a job. We're all going to have health care. Turn it over to the states. It's all going to be great.
Business is good.
Thank
last
you
time I
very
checked.
much, America.
Don't we want business? Don't we want
okay,
business?
But Bill, here's the problem. And
We have tried this before,
I've
right?
listened. I've listened. I have listened.
talking
I have
about?
listened intently to what has been saying and what has been said. They say sometimes you can listen better when you don't talk. So I tried that for the first
not
couple
true.
of minutes. And we know in your case.
Certainly on
we
this
know in
panel,
your
it's
case
not
I
true.
tried it once.
But Bill, turn it over to the smallest, to the states and let them handle. What happens if this doesn't work? What happens, and I'm one of those that say give Trump an opportunity, but it's almost like he's making a joke at the expense of the American people with his appointments. What happens if this doesn't work? All of this experimenting and
What's happening is we're undoing the stuff that doesn't work in Washington. Washington, over time, has taken over power on every in
But
all
Bill,
these
give
different
me
areas.
one second.
Try to get
But
rid
Bill,
of the
just
Washington
answer this one
influence.
point, okay? The guys coming in on the financial side, oh, we're going to get rid of Dodd-Frank. My problem is, do we have such like fruit fly memories here? Do we remember what happened in 2008 when we had the approach of, and by the way, Bill Clinton, it didn't all happen under Bush, but the idea was, let Wall Street do their thing. Don't make them keep any money in reserves. Let them leverage at 30-1 and all the rest, because the guys on Wall Street know better than the guys in Washington how to run it. What happened, Bill? We all remember what happened in 08.
just
So
because-
we put in some safeguards, and now I hear guys, friends of mine, saying, we got to get the feds out of this. I'm like, where were you? We had to bail you guys out, and now you're telling me you know better?
But just because Dodd-Frank passed, just because Obamacare passed, just because the Common Core got pushed down by the Education Department, doesn't mean those are the best available programs.
But
It's
you're
like
assuming
you do a
no,
program
no, no.
that's flawed and say if
Fair
you're
enough,
against
Bill.
it, you're against
Fair enough.
education.
But
If you're against it, you're against
the only debate you and I are having is not that we have a perfect system that can't be improved, but you believe that if they eliminate regulations, they're going to replace them with something else. I believe firmly
I'm
they're
not
going to
ag-
get rid of regulations
I'm not
and
ag-
say drill wherever the heck you want.
I'm not against
and-
regulations. I'm just saying, but you
I
can.
think you're in the minority
I'm
of
not
the
against
group.
regulations, but they have to be smart. And if they're not working the way they are and they can work better, you got to
had
change them or pull
8
back.
years of job improvements, an improvement in the health of the nation. You had an improvement in the air quality.
And
What
the-
are you trying to fix?
And the country threw out.
No. The country by 2.5
We will
million
continue
more
this
votes
debate here in the commercial
voted for
break.
the Democrats.
All right.
It's an
Donald Trump,
electoral system.
You remember how he knew more than the generals? Well, now he's surrounded himself with a lot of guys that are military brats. We're going to ask our good friend Mike Lyons here about how that's going to play out once the president-elect is in the White House. Stay with us.